Hello and a warm welcome to another edition of To The Point. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India is all set to bring in new set of rules for the DTH and the cable operators. What does this new pricing regime mean for the consumers in terms of billing, in terms of transparency, and what is going to be the impact on the broadcast industry? For more on this, joining me now is Chairman of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, Mr. R.S. Sharma. I welcome you on the program.
Thank you very much.
My first question to you, sir, is, which has bothered a lot of people, was that what was the trigger factor? What was the need to bring in a new pricing regime?
See, we'll have to go back a little bit in the past. We started the process of digitization of the cable TV and the DTH framework sometime in the year 2012. And it took about 5 years and 25,000 crore rupees to complete that process. So now with the digitization having been completed, I think we have a situation where each set-top box can control as to what channels are being watched, and there is a huge amount of transparency. Broadcasters are now know as to how many people are watching their channels and stuff like that.
Right.
However, the customer did not get any advantage of that, which was actually the primary purpose of this whole digitization process. Besides quality, customers should also have the opportunity and choice, selection of choosing the channels. So that had not happened. So that's number one. So this whole model was a push model. It's a model. I can compare this with let's say a situation where you go to a shop, and suppose you want certain number of items.
Okay.
And the shopkeeper puts you a whole bundle of items and say, take these home. And you ask, look, what about the items which I was asking for? Oh, all these items are there in this bag, but you take the entire thing home. And when you ask for the price of each item, then also you are told, no, you don't have to bother. You just take it home. So this is a kind of framework which existed.
So do we see this as a complete unbundling of the push model which was there?
Absolutely. This is actually a pull model.
Okay.
A pull model where a customer now has a choice to actually buy the channels which he or she wants to watch, and they should pay only for those channels that they are going to watch, and not for 10 channels whom they are not going to watch. I mean, it's not some kind of comfort factor where you want to hoard the channels. You should take what you want to watch, and in case you want to watch something else, you can purchase that at any point in time. So it's not as if you don't hoard it today, it will not be available tomorrow.
Right.
So essentially, the whole framework is that customer must have the power to choose what he wants to watch, and only pay for what he or she wants to watch.
But since this transition is about bringing in a new regime altogether, so obviously the earlier regime was to the comfort of the broadcasters, to the cable operators, and now it's going to be for the comfort of the users, the consumers. So how do you really smoothen the entire process? Because there was a lot of resistance on the part of the broadcasters and also the cable operators. They weren't very comfortable with this idea.
No, I would not agree to that sort of assumption.
Okay.
I think it's wrong to presume that in any system where you empower the customers, the other stakeholders necessarily get disempowered. That's not true.
Okay.
To my mind, the industry players or the stakeholders exist for the customers. And once you empower them and once you give them the choice, actually they start appreciating or not appreciating the goods you produce. And that in turn ensures and induces a situation where you start producing quality goods, right, and you start giving quality service. So ultimately, taking care of the customer is essentially a detergent which will clean up the entire system in a systematic way. And actually, to be fair to everybody else, I must say that except one or two stakeholders who actually fought tooth and nail about this whole process of reform, everybody else is on board.
Right.
So everybody else, in fact, we now have a written kind of requests from the Indian Broadcasting Federation, for example, from the AIDCF, which is a Digital Cable Federation, and the News Broadcasters Association, saying that please do not extend the deadline for this implementation.
Okay.
So everybody is on board. So except, of course, as I explained to you, that there are some stakeholders who actually fought, and we fought this case for about more than 2 years. You know, Chennai High Court, the 2 judges gave dissenting judgments, and then the 3rd judge judgment, and then Supreme Court. So everywhere, you know, it has now, and Supreme Court in their order have actually said that this is a framework which takes care of all these stakeholders, and it's a very balanced framework.
So TRAI is going to stick to the deadline of February 1st, and there is no extension?
Absolutely not. TRAI, in fact, the whole framework has come into place except the customer choice collection on 29th of December, and that customer choice collection process is going to be over on tomorrow, that is 31st of January, and from 1st of February we will have the new framework. Let me also add here that the customers have a choice. Suppose there are long-term commitments, long-term agreements with the customers have had with their DTH provider or with their cable provider, then it is the customer's right either to enforce the commitment, long-term commitment which they have with the providers, or they can prematurely kind of disconnect it and prematurely terminate that arrangement and go on to the new framework.
But what if a service provider imposes and says that no, you have to complete your contract which you signed? Does he do that?
That he cannot. That's precisely what we are protecting the customer in the sense that whatever is advantageous to the customers, whether it is advantageous, he or she feels that it is advantageous for her to continue with the framework, continue with the agreement which she has signed, let's say up to 31st of May 2000, 6 months or whatever, then she has a right to do that. Or in case she finds that no, this is better, the new framework is better and I want to switch on to it, then she can do that.
Talking to you about the larger contours of this new pricing regime. Now, for a common man to understand, if I have a cable connection or maybe a DTH connection at home, so this new pricing regime is, in terms of billing, how is it going to translate for the consumers? Have I to pay less? Have I to pay more now? What is the real breakup?
So what has happened is that, one of the anomalies of the old system was that the pipe and the content were mixed.
Okay.
So in a way, for example, a DTH connection to your home or a cable connection to your home is like a pipe which provides you access to the channels. And channels is something which flows through this pipe, right? So what we have done for the first time is we have separated these two. You pay for the rental of this connection, which is the pipe, which we call network capacity fees, and you pay separately for the content which passes through the pipe.
Okay.
So for example, the MRP of this rental is 130 rupees plus GST. So you pay MRP, when I say MRP, that's the maximum price. The service provider may decide to charge less than this.
So this base price is 130 as
130, you say. And this will provide you 100 space for 100 channels in that pipe, right?
Okay.
So you can select 100 channels, right?
So if I'm just clearly understanding from what you're saying, at 130 rupees you get a bouquet of 100 channels.
So you don't get a bouquet.
Okay.
You get a capacity of 100 channels. Okay. Now these 100 channels is completely within your rights to choose. Okay. Whatever channels you want to choose.
Okay.
That 100 is not, some kind of bouquet made by somebody. Okay. So you have the freedom to choose. Now, you can decide to choose all free channels,
okay,
which means you don't have to pay anything extra for the channels, or you can decide that some of your channels can be free to air channel and some of these channels can be paid channels. So you have to pay the price of paid channels only besides this 130 rupees.
Okay.
So in a way, now your payment is two components. One is the network capacity fees of 130 rupees plus the for 100 channels for the capacity of 100 plus the price of the channels which you buy. Okay. If the price is 0, which means the channels are free, then you don't pay anything else. If price is, let's say, 10 rupees, then you pay 10 rupees extra.
Right.
Now, this is the broad breakup of this these two components.
So this whole narrative about the a la carte menu and the combo which is being talked about is actually this, that the first component, the primary component of with the base price of 100 channels and plus whatever you want.
Right. Now that whatever you want can be in form of a la carte, and you have a right to actually demand a la carte, but it can also be in form of combos, bouquets. So broadcasters can form bouquets, the platform operators can form bouquets. It's up to the customers to buy those bouquets or to buy a la carte.
Right.
Previously, the whole concept was that you buy this, and this is what you have, and these are the gold pack or silver pack or a platinum pack, stuff like that. Today, you have a situation where you have the packs, and the packs and bouquets can be of broadcasters and also of the platform operators, and you also have the channel of a la carte. Right. So you can buy a combination of both these things. In case you want to, typically the BARC data is that on an average 90% of the customers in this country watch or browse, watch or flip less than 50 channels.
Okay.
And 60% of the customers in this country watch or browse less than 20 channels. So essentially my sense is that 100, a channel capacity of 100 should be sufficient for
the consumers.
Your requirement. But in case you are one of those consumers who want to watch every channel on the menu, then you can buy an additional capacity of 25 channel. That pipe you can sort of make it a little fatter. 25 channels capacity in 20 rupees.
Okay. So after 100, if I have to take another 25, so I have to pay 20 rupees.
Network capacity fee,
right.
130 plus 20.
Okay.
And
likewise, it's going
likewise you can continue in the slabs. Okay. So essential idea is we feel that 100 is a good number, right. More than sufficient, in which you will have 25 channels of DD and the mandatory channels. 75 channels you will be able to have all kinds of genres and whatever you watch. Some of them will be free, some of them will be paid, and you pay for that.
So with this transition, now how do you really ensure that the transition is smooth and there is no scope of a blackout? Because there are worries that there could be a blackout from 1st February. So how would you really assure the consumers who are watching the channel?
Let me put it this way. There are two broad segments. Okay. One is the direct to home segment. Another is the cable segment, which is the MSO and the cable operator.
Right.
Now in the cable segment, our figures are that about 70% customers as of yesterday have exercised their options. So basically they have selected.
Right.
And the rest, the cable people are trying to contact them and sort of do the selection part. So we are quite comfortable there because some of them may be long-term commitments, and as I explained to you that long-term commitments will have to be honored and stuff like that. So we think that this should work out smoothly. On the DTH front, there are percentages much less. Let me admit that the percentage of people exercising is choice. But one interesting thing in DTH segment is that they are all prepaid models.
Okay.
So essentially your contract may be expiring. If it's a long-term contract, then it may be expiring, let's say in 6 months or 5 months or 4 months. And then it's your choice whether you want to continue with the contract or you want to enter into a new part. So if you decide to choose, then you choose and you are given a new framework. If you decide not to choose, then your thing will go on till whatever time it goes. Number one. Number two, if you are not on a long-term contract, if your contract is expiring, let's say on 10th of February, then you have two choices. One is you exercise it now and get onto the new framework, or else on 10th of February, when you go to recharge, the operator is duty bound to tell you that now the old framework is no more valid. Okay. Now you recharge, so you make that choice at the time of recharge. So in that segment also, as you will appreciate, there is no blackout.
So all these stories that you have to get into a pricing regime, the new pricing regime, you have to adhere to that deadline of 1st February is not for the consumers. Consumers need not worry. They have enough time to shift.
Let me not give a wrong message. I mean, my advice and my request to the consumers is that please get onto the new framework, because that's a framework which is actually a consumer empowerment framework.
Okay.
That's a framework which will actually make you choose what you want to watch. And the sooner you get, it will be beneficial to you. That's my, if you choose wisely, probably it will save on your cable bill or a DTH bill. That's my sense.
For some reason, if a consumer is not able to do it on 1st February,
yes,
the heavens are not going to come down.
As I explained to you, there are valid reasons as to why it will not happen. For example, in the DTH segment, it will not happen because of these. I mean, after all, if your contract in a DTH segment, if your payment expires, let's say you are not recharged, then what happens? your channels get closed. In a typical normal sense, if I paid it out for 10th of February and 10th of your mobile, for example, your mobile recharge expires, then you can't call anymore. Similarly, your DTH payment expires, then next day you will not get any channels. So these things will happen not because of the new framework, but it will happen because of the normal process, the way prepaid system works.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that next time you can either do it now, or you can do it at the time, a date at which your thing is expiring, and then you can get onto the new part.
Another question which is related to the pricing only, that is the pricing going to be different for the HD channels and the SD channels, or is it going to be same for both?
Look, one of the fundamental issues which previous framework had was that we had kept the pricing of channels. That this is the pricing, you can't have more than 19 rupees per channel pricing, whether HD or SD or whatever. Also, there was another distortion where the broadcaster was giving the channel free to air, but the customer was being charged.
Right.
This was another distortion. We have said that in a normal situation, it is the producer of the goods which has got the power to price his products. I mean, in a normal world, if I produce something, I have the price, I have the power to do the MRP. So it is now the broadcasters who have got the full power to price their channels. So if they want to price their HD and SD similar, so good. If they want to price it differently, in fact, in the last 1 month, there have been a number of price revisions of the bouquets and also of a la cartes, and mostly on the downward side.
Right.
So actually, once you allow the free market play to happen,
in the competitive spirit, they'll bring down the prices.
Absolutely, bring down or not bring down. That's not I'm not predicting anything. I'm basically saying once the market starts playing,
right,
that is the fair way, prices will find an equilibrium.
But also, what is the impact which you see on the broadcast industry? Because the broadcast, say for example, the news channels and other TV channels, they go by the TRP ratings, the BARC ratings are there, then the advertisers also come in. So, what is kind of impact you really see on the industry?
I see an overall positive impact in the sense, let's put it this way. A, there will be no pushing of the channels, which means only those channels which people are watching will be subscribed.
Okay.
That will ensure, more quality content development in the sector. So more newer and newer channels will come in with quality. Secondly, now the size is not very important. Previously, the broadcasters who were big broadcasters were able to push their unwanted channels also. Now everybody is on equal footing. So if you own a single channel, you can, if your channel has got good content, you will be able to market that. Okay. So that's another fair part which has started happening. So my feeling is that there will be investment in the content development from the broadcaster side. There will be more fair evaluation of the TRP ratings.
Okay.
And therefore advertisers will obviously stand to gain. So I think in this framework, both broadcasters, advertisers, and of course now that the MSOs and the DTH operators have got a fixed minimum assured income of that network capacity fee,
right,
which they don't have to share with the broadcasters. That also gives a opportunity for investment in the network.
So you see more investments coming in and also transparency coming in, with as far as the advertising and fair play is concerned. But why I asked you this question was that I think last time when the prices were revised and put in place, the BARC ratings got affected because during the transition period, the ratings were up to the full swing, and that is how there was some kind of an impact which was seen. So are we going to see anything of that sort during this transition period?
No, I don't think so, because ultimately what are the ratings? Ratings are just a measurement of how many people are watching which channel, right? So whether it's a transition or non-transition, the ratings are the statistics of the viewership of a channel. So I don't think that should have any, ratings will get affected, changed, and that will determine as to how the pricing mechanism works. Because let's understand, as both of us know, a broadcaster has got two sources of revenue. One is from the advertisements, another is from the subscription of is channels, right? Now, if you increase the subscription rates, the viewership goes down and advertisement goes down. If you reduce the rate, probably the viewership will go up and advertisement will go up. So, there's an equilibrium, there is a price point at which you will be able to optimize your revenue.
Right.
So, that will now start playing, and then it will be a real fair price which will the market will determine.
Always when there is a transition like this, awareness programs help, and we've seen a lot of ads which the cable operators and all have started showing regarding the new pricing regime. But still, there is a perceptible inertia amongst the consumers, where there is a slight reticence as far as it's coming to the new regime or migrating to the new regime. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
See, that inertia is seen everywhere in life. If the date of filing of the income tax is 31st July, people kind of procrastinate to the last moment. So that's a normal process which happens. But I must add here, sometimes I've heard some people telling me that when they checked with the platform operators,
right,
and then they said, look, what is my package? And the fellow tells, this is your package. Then they say, oh, I want to continue the package. Then they are told, no, if you want to continue the package, it will cost you twice. Now, basically, this package which you have given is a push package. Now, that package has no logic, or that package doesn't exist now in the new regime. So, the messaging which should come from the players should actually be appropriate. It should try to educate the customers rather than frighten the customers, saying that your things are going to go up. That's not a factual situation. So that's one thing which I would like to say. Of course, we have from TRAI side, we have done a number of steps to educate the customers, and this is not a one-time education. We shall continue to do that effort, because after all, this is the first time the format is the framework is being implemented. It is not this is the initial period, and if let's say a customer does not make the right choice and maybe he adds up channels which he doesn't watch, next month he can correct it. So it's a continuing process, and we think that as the time goes along, the customer will become much more price sensitive. Today, if you see in the telecom space, whenever there are rate changes, people just throw the SIMs of the earlier provider and get a new SIM and all that. So this is, Indian customer is very wise and very price sensitive, and I'm sure now that he or she has a freedom to choose what she wants to watch, I'm sure she will exercise her freedom.
Right. But with this fast technological advancement which we see in almost every field, and similarly in the telecom sector, now there are reports that there will be a phase when the set-top boxes will be completely phased out, there will be a totally new television screen which we will see, and how it's going to be governed. So, till how long do you see this new price regime sustained in the market till the dawn of the new technology doesn't come in?
No, I think this price regime actually is not based on specific technologies. This price regime is actually establishes certain principles.
Okay.
That principles is the customer choice. Okay. This principle is transparency in the pricing architecture. This principle is the principle of level playing field. This principle is the principle of reducing the frictions among various stakeholders. So I think these principles are universal in some sense. They are not going to change. I agree with you that the technology, once it changes, for example, people now have developed the non-linear viewing on their mobiles,
right,
stuff like that. So
yeah,
OTTs.
That's what I meant, yeah.
So those things are going to change. Those things are actually changing the landscape. But I also believe that linear viewing on a television has its own advantages. If you view it on a mobile, you are going to pay for the data charges. If you view it on your television, you are getting channels in as low as 1 rupee per month.
Right.
50 paisa per month. 50 paisa per month translates to 1.5 naya paisa per day. So this is really good. Then of course it's a family viewing, it's a larger form factor, and there are many positives onto this sector. What is important is that we actually, you'll be surprised to know that the appellate tribunal, TD said, while the broadcasting revenue is 1/5 of the telecom revenue, the number of cases of broadcasting sector in the TD set is more than 90%, which means there is a lot of friction, there is a lot of ambiguity, there is a lot of problems, disputes. we feel that this new framework, which actually makes things much more simple, much more is transparent, will actually reduce even the litigations, and that all these factors will contribute to the growth of this sector.
Right. One last question which I forgot to ask you in between during the course of the interview was that what is the penalty for the operators or the service providers who do not adhere? Supposing if in terms of supposing if they give a pretext that we are trying to implement the new regulatory framework, the new framework we are trying to bring in, and therefore we will stick to this for a while. Do they have that kind of a room, or how will they be penalized if they are erring?
No, actually, if you see the regulations and the orders, the whole framework, there are three broad areas.
Okay.
One is the area relating to tariff. Another is the area relating to quality of service. And third area is interconnection, which means the connection, interconnection between the service providers, among the service providers. There the whole framework prescribes as to how things will be done, and if they are not done, what will be the disincentives. So that part is there. The one, thing which I would like to say to your viewers is, people are asking me question, how do we select the channel? You were saying select, choose. How do you do that? So my simple advice, and a very primitive kind of advice, is as follows: that you sit before your television, you start the television, and you start browsing the channels starting from channel 101 or whatever, minimum to maximum, go on to 999 or whatever, and keep on going and noting down which ones are the ones you will like to retain. Okay. So that becomes your list of choice, because I assume that the packages which you have got thus far, they do cater to your requirements and much more. So what you are going to choose is going to be a subset of what you are already having. So this will, once you give that list, get that list, you can share that list with your service provider. Alternatively, you can also optimize that list by going to TRAI's website. It's called channel.trai.gov.in. In that website, you can actually feed in the channels, figure out as to what is going to be your monthly bill of the channels, and then it also optimizes that it figures out that rather than buying 3 a la carte channel of the same broadcaster, if you buy a bouquet offered by them, it will cost less. So that way you can optimize your part. So I thought I'll share this with you.
Sure. It was a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Sharma.
Pleasure was mine. Thank you.
So that's it on this episode of To The Point. See you next time with another personality. Goodbye and thanks for watching.